and Rugby head coach Eddie Jones has urged his players to be better citizens. He's volunteered to take a 25% pay cut to his England contract.
Well, Eddie joins us now live from Tokyo, where he's currently in lockdown following a family holiday. Along with Eddie, we have former professional footballer Chris Kamara, who joins us from West Yorkshire, and also Ellie Orton, the head of NHS Charities Together, who joins us live from Warwickshire. Good morning to all of you. Thank you for joining us. Eddie, if we can come to you first, you find yourself in Tokyo. I know that you went there to visit your family, but the hope was, after being there, you'd be able to get to Australia for your mum's 80th birthday. Sadly, that didn't happen. What's the situation like for you in Japan?
Things are starting to tighten up a little bit here. It was quite free and normal, but they've had a few more cases of virus over the last week or so, so the life's tightening up a bit.
Yeah, we know that the Prime Minister over there has just announced a state of emergency. But as you were saying, a lot of the restaurants, karaoke parlours, the public transport, that's all still open, isn't it?
A lot of them are closed up now.
Okay.
So it's a lot more of a restrictive lifestyle now. They're obviously concerned about what may happen in the future. So I think that'll continue for the next period of time.
Eddie, what do you think that sport should do when it comes to acting as role models in this crisis? We saw the Premier League players say that they're going to contribute towards this charity fund to directly help NHS workers, but they in particular are under pressure to take pay cuts. What's the situation with rugby players? I know that you volunteered to take a pay cut. Do you think the players themselves should do that? Or do you think that contributing towards charity eases that pressure somewhat?
Well, I think, it's a different situation for every club and every player, but I think everyone wants to do their bit for society. I think it's an important time where every part of society does their bit to ensure that we get through this difficult period.
And Chris Kamara, I mean, the players have been easy targets, haven't they? You know, they're on very large wages. We saw Matt Hancock at one of the press conferences veer into saying, actually, you know what? These well-played footballers should do their bit, take a pay cut. He then pivoted a little bit, said that they should contribute towards funding hospices. They've now come up with an initiative, which is, we're doing our bit. We're actually going to help the workers directly.
Mm-hmm. Players Together, they've been magnificent. You should have left them alone in the first place, because they would have come up with something. I know players, I see them every Saturday when I'm working for Sky. On a Sunday morning, as Ben knows, we have them as guests on the sofa. They are exactly the same as us. They are this, they're just normal people, and they would also be thinking, the only thing is we want to make a contribution, but where will the money go? We need to know exactly where this money is going to go. And that's exactly what they've done. Jordan Henderson has been behind it. It's been absolutely brilliant. And now they know where their money is going to go. It's going to go straight on the front line. It's exactly where everybody wants it to go. And
that, you see, that's the distinction, isn't it? Because although it might look, I suppose, to the Health Secretary a good idea to take a pay cut, does the pay cut not just benefit the billionaire owners of the clubs, whereas contributing to a charity actually helps NHS staff?
Without a doubt, and a lot of those players will have charitable contributions already. I do a lot of work for charity, and I see Premier League players, and they go under the radar. They don't want to be known for putting part of their wages in certain charities. They just want to do it voluntarily. Whereas this situation now, if they were to take a pay cut, where does that money go? Does it benefit the football clubs who are furloughing some of their staff, or does it benefit the NHS? And they've got together and they've made sure that this money goes to the correct place. There's so many players involved. The thing we don't want is a witch hunt, because I saw a list this morning that showed the players who contributed. And because any of those players are not on that list, leave them alone. It's personal choice. It's down to you whether you want to contribute. You shouldn't be forced to contribute. You have to do it voluntarily and help that money go to the right places.
I think they've said that they're going to keep all the donations anonymous for exactly that reason, Cammy. Let's talk to Ellie, because, of course, Ellie, you head up the NHS Charities Together, who are benefiting from this campaign with the Premier League footballers, and also our ITV campaign for 1 million claps, which we're launching today. You know, Susanna was asking Eddie what the difference sport can make at a time like this, but you are at the front line, so you are going to get the tangible benefits of both these footballers and our ITV campaigners, of course. And actually, you know what the difference it makes.
It makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference, not just on a financial level, but also on an emotional level. So, you know, NHS staff knowing that their football heroes collectively together are behind them it says a lot. It says a lot to help their morale. But the difference it's making is going to be huge. We launched our appeal just over 2.5 weeks ago. We're at just under £30 million with that fund. And that's going straight to the front line of the NHS who are caring for NHS patients. And that's really to do 3 things. So that's straight away to support those frontline staff and volunteers caring for patients. And that's with wellbeing boxes, overnight kits, setting up rest and recuperation centres, wobble centres, so that the staff can get away from their frontline duties and have some rest as well. That is electronic devices so that isolated patients can talk to their loved ones. But that's also benefiting the care partnerships around the hospital. So it's vital that there's care partnerships in place so that patients can leave hospital quickly and safely and remain and stay out of hospital. So our grants through the NHS charities, who are the legal way that the NHS can receive, hold and spend charitable money, they can spend that money also on those care relationships, so making sure that the voluntary sector, the care, the hospices around them can care for those patients as well. And then lastly, it's about the long-term mental health recuperation and recovery of staff as well. So this is just going to make a massive difference to the staff, to the volunteers, and essentially to the patients who, you know, that is why the staff are working tirelessly as they do to care for patients in the middle of COVID-19.
I mean, you know, we are forever in their debt.
We're not worthy, are we?
And as you say, this will make, you know, hopefully a massive difference to them. It's really so welcome. Chris, just to talk about, though, you know, this is fantastic initiative by the Premier League players. Some of the clubs are furloughing staff, putting non-playing staff on furlough, which is effectively taking taxpayers' money. Now, are football clubs just normal businesses and therefore entitled to this assistance, or actually should they not be doing this? You know, a number of these clubs, Newcastle United, Spurs, Bournemouth, Norwich City, Liverpool, we know, reversed their decision to do that. They are under pressure, aren't they, not to use taxpayers' money in this way?
Yeah, without a doubt, I don't think any of the Premier League clubs should do this at all. They should get through this. We do know football is going to be back. That's one thing for sure. So whatever they have to pay out at this moment in time, then do it. But some of the clubs in the Football League are not wealthy. They're not well off. So they need help from the government. A lot of these clubs might go under in this current situation. So we have to take every team on its merits. We can't just individually say, well, you can't furlough your players or, your staff, but you can, and all that sort of stuff. So we need to make sure we're specific in what club we are dealing with. But certainly as far as the Premier League goes, then I don't believe they should be furloughing any of their staff whatsoever at all. We know what an impact football has on people, people's lives. It's so important. Players, as we know, Ben, they are fantastic. They're really nice people. The hardest thing with the players is getting to them. And the clubs have put them on this pedestal. And so all of a sudden, the general public believe that they're not in touch with the real world anymore. And that's because the press officers at clubs, you can't get to these people. You don't hear them anymore. It's not like the olden days where you walked into a pub or whatever and you saw a player stood there. That doesn't happen in this current situation anymore.
No.
And it's probably a good thing from a football point of view, but certainly from a people and perspective point of view, this will bring the football players back to the public.
Which is hugely important. Eddie, if we can come to you for one final question, of course, because football and rugby, although they are sort of hugely important sports, financially there's a huge disparity between the amount of money in the world of football, certainly the Premier League and the Premiership rugby as well. Are you getting a sense of some of the pressure that there is financially on some of those Premiership clubs? Certainly the RFU themselves have said how much money they're going to be losing because of this. You've taken a pay cut already. And how is the Premiership going to resolve this situation? Do you envisage that the Six Nations, which had to be suspended before the last round of matches, will eventually get played out, or is a line just going to be drawn under that?
Well, I think the first thing is just to have a bit of perspective about everything. Our problems in rugby are minor compared to what is going on in the UK and going on around the rest of the world. So as long as we get the perspective right, but certainly, there are a number of clubs who are probably really doing it tough at the moment. And the RFU's got to try find some way to support them. In terms of the Six Nations, we're hopeful we'll play that at the end of October, all things being equal.
OK, well, we certainly want to see that come to a conclusion, however that happens. Eddie, thank you very much for joining us from Japan this morning. And it's good to see you, Cammy, as ever. If you ever want to find a footballer in a pub, you will find Cammy in a pub.
Not right now. Just like to point out, not right now.
Not right now. But, of course, Ellie Orton as well. Yes, he will. That's the reason to get back Ellie Orton from NHS Charities together. It's lovely to have you join us as one of the beneficiaries.